undisciplined basketball. I feel like that dictated the game a lot. We had certain spurts where, it was early shots in the shot clock and giving up easy baskets and transitions. So we just got to get back to the drawing board and just figure out solutions.
We know we got to be better. We know that we can be better, as I've been saying this entire time. We show glimpses of it, and then we make some crucial mistakes, whether it be on the defensive end or the offensive end, and beat ourselves in the end. But like I always say, they're a really, really, really good team. We got to play damn near perfect to beat them. We didn't do that tonight.
Fourth quarter, what was working so effectively and making it difficult for Miami to get good shots?
Well, we're continuing to grow our understanding of the Miami Heat and their offensive system, which is very, very complicated and difficult to guard. So each game we tweak the scheme a little bit and just get a little bit stronger with what we're doing on that end, what we're trying to take away. Obviously, Anthony's matchup on Butler, was a big factor in our defensive efficiency. He did a great job. Jimmy's so great, it's hard to even slow him down. But AD did a great job, and it starts there. But you have to credit our guys' competitive spirit. I mean, they were flying around and just competing at an extremely high level on that end of the floor.
I know you expect to see LeBron and AD come up with plays down the stretch. What are your thoughts on KCP with those 5 straight points in crunch time there?
Huge. I mean, he's a confident young man. He's been a huge part of our success this year for what he does on both ends of the floor. And I was proud of him and Danny for having bounce-back games offensively. We need everybody to participate and contribute. And, we're a team-first team. Obviously we have our 2 big horses, but everybody's got to contribute that's out there. And proud of both of those guys for stepping up. But KCP down the stretch, big guts to take and make those shots that he took, and it was a huge 5 points, obviously.
Also?
All right, we'll start with Kyle Goon.
Frank, you touched on it, but obviously AD taking on Jimmy for most of the night, and then in those when AD was on the bench, LeBron refusing to switch off of Jimmy. How do you feel like that set the tone for what you guys did in the second half defensively?
Yeah, set a great tone. I mean, that was a big part of our plan. Our adjustments from last game to this game is to try to keep those 2 guys on him as much as possible, and they rose to the challenge. They really stepped up. Obviously, it's one game. We still have work to do, but in tonight's game, those guys did a great job.
All right, Dan.
Along those lines, Frank, how did that decision to go with AD, especially knowing that Bam might be playing, how did that kind of idea come to be? And
it's what we study film for. You study the game tape, you see where you're getting hurt, and there was ways that he was hurting us. Obviously, he had 40 points last game. So we identified ways that we can take certain things away from them, and hopefully not get hurt too bad. It's what the playoffs are about, making adjustments.
Anybody else on this end? Rachel? No? Okay. We're back to you, Will.
All right, thank you. Andy Kamenetsky, please.
Hey, Frank. In the last few minutes of the game, after LeBron looked a little bit shaken up on that collision, the next 2 possessions you guys scored with either Rondo getting a layup or him setting up Anthony Davis. I don't think LeBron even touched the ball. Did those 2 possessions just sort of epitomize what you have in Rondo, just what he means at this type of stage?
Yeah, he's been huge for us all year. Obviously vital down the stretch. We've been telling Bron, like, when he needs a possession off offensively, that's a great action to go to. Rondo and AD in the pick and roll. And, allows him to just catch a quick blow. He had great trust. It's tough to trust in that situation that late in the game. But when you trust your teammates, you usually get rewarded. And Rondo made a great play. AD was huge, made that big 3. And, again, we're a team-first team. And we trust all our teammates. We trust all 5 guys on the court to make big plays. And that's what happened tonight in the fourth.
All right, I'll take 2 more, Frank. Leandro?
Coach, AD made huge plays at the end of the game. What did you say to raise his level so much?
No, you don't have to say anything to Anthony Davis. You know, he wants this more than anything. And obviously he's a great player, capable of imposing his will on a game on both ends of the floor. And you saw that tonight. You saw what he did defensively, and obviously that big three helped steal it, but was great on both ends all night.
All right, last one. Christos?
Hello, Coach. Congrats on the win. First of all, how important part of your game plan is Rajon Rondo? Because he made some great plays, especially in the rebound and in assist about the game. And also, the last 5 minutes of the game, defense was the Lakers' identity.
Yeah, well, Rajon is, again, a huge part of what we do. I've got a tremendous amount of trust in his abilities, especially, you know, in this atmosphere, this deep into the playoffs when the games mean so much. He's been there before, and, you know, I trust him, you know. And then obviously the defense, I was very, very proud of our defensive performance tonight. Game 2 and 3 were not good enough, quite frankly, to win in the NBA Finals. And, you know, we made some adjustments to our scheme. The guys raised their level from a competitive spirit standpoint and alertness standpoint. And, you know, both were huge factors.
Thank you, Frank.
Brez, who knew, but Laker Nation celebrating KCP. If you think back to the beginning of the season when he was struggling to hit that three ball, and Dwight Howard kind of pumped him up on Instagram, and Frank and Braun and everybody kind of had his back, and he turned his season around and had an unbelievable year. When Avery Bradley was hurt, the Lakers were, what, 17-3 when he started?
Yep.
Struggled a little bit in the bubble, in the reseeding games, but here he is hitting big shots for the Lakers. Got to be happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you nailed just about everything there. You go back to the season opener. How many points did KCP have against the Clips? 0. His career probably bottomed out a few weeks later against Toronto at Staples Center. 0 points. He played 4 minutes, guys. He was almost out of the rotation. So that's why Kyle Kuzma just said, KCP is built for this. You know, and he is. Just when you think KCP is down, he comes back and shows you what he can do. In the last 2 games before this, look at this. Struggling. Games 2 and Game 3, not good for KCP. Coming into tonight, he had missed 14 of his last 17 three-point attempts. And what does he do with a couple minutes left? Hit the biggest 3 of his career. And, of course, the drive down the right side that you called, Geet. I remember that distinctly. You were all over that. But just so much love for KCP from Laker Nation right now, and also some love from an ex-teammate, Josh Hart, who played with KCP last year. Nice little tweet.
Something, didn't he?
Nice little tweet from Josh, kind of reminding Laker Nation that they might have some explaining to do for being a little tough on, or as Josh said, killing KCP last year. Again, KCP had some rough starts this year. 0 for 9 in the playoff opener, scored only 1 point against Portland. Tonight, he's the hero.
I mean, you guys can probably speak to this, and Brez, you brought up some great points there. When you talk about KCP, when he first came to the Lakers, this was a young basketball team, and he was paid a lot of money. And it's tough to be that guy, right? But you put KCP where he is now, next to LeBron James, AD, where he just has to be him, Rob. It can make a huge difference for a young basketball player.
Yeah, it can make a huge difference because people have to understand when you're not the primary ball handler, you're not the primary go-to guy, you're going to have a lot of ups and downs in the season. But you have to be mentally strong. And I think KCP has been more mentally strong than anybody in this game because people are going to look at his contract and wonder why we give him this money. People are going to say, what do we do this for? And you got to understand, he is the type of guy who's taken a lot, you know, from some issues he had off the court, and now he's here, now he's in a big moment. And I think in those first 2 games, people forget when you're in a game like that, you're excited. You know, people say, oh, LeBron and AD, you're excited too as being in the NBA Finals. And sometimes it takes 2 games to get back into the moment. And KCP, I feel like now is back in the moment. But the one thing we can say about him, even though he struggled in the first 2 games in this series, his defense has always been on point.
He works hard.
Yes.
He plays hard every possession, and you're absolutely right, Rob. It doesn't always show up in terms of how many points. And James, Rob said something else that really hit. the mental battles that he's had to have over the last 4 years have not been easy. And he's admitted there's been some dark moments, some dark places where you start to lose confidence, but he always mentioned his family and his team had his back. Really important.
Yeah, you have to admire Pope for what he's had to go through. You know, he's another player that's had to take responsibility. It took a head on, big distraction last year, and then, you know, big shoes to fill playing with LeBron and now AD. But I give him credit for really, you know, understanding what his role is and how it was defined to him. And he just kept chipping away at it. He had that moment where, you know, he was dark for a few days, had bad games. But I think he realized, particularly this year, how critical he is to this team. And, you know, not only on the defensive end, but hitting shots,